Right now and running until October the 26th at the Manitoba Theatre for young people, there is a remarkable play on that explores hope and commitment to friendships, set against the backdrop of social separation due to unforeseen circumstances. Co-written by Julia Lederer and Julie Ritchey, Gather is a beautiful play that explores the importance of human interaction and the effect COVID-type isolation has on people. Starring just 2 actors, Gather takes children on a magical journey while at the same time offering a commitment to hope no matter what may occur. Togetherness always wins out. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio to talk about the play Gather, I am joined by Greg Clausen, Marketing and Communications Manager at MTYP. Hey, Greg, it's so great to finally meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Mm. Okay, so normally it would be Sarah Flynn, who's here in studio, the Artistic Associate for MTYP. She'd be dropping by to talk to me about Gather, but she can't be here because she's actually in the play. In fact, Pablo Felices Luna, the Artistic Director for MTYP, is also the director for Gather.
Right.
For MTYP, how is having an in-house produced show different than having a company come in and perform their own specific show on stage? Is it different, and how so?
Well, it's definitely different for me because usually when a company comes in from the outside, they've done the show before, so they have materials, they have they have a press kit, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas in this case, the show has been done before, but never in Canada. This is the Canadian premiere. So we're kind of making up some of the stuff as we go, right? Like we commissioned a local artist named Miriam Rudolph to create, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful image to promote the show. So it's a lot more sort of inventing as we go along, kind of finding out what the play is really about as we go to workshops and rehearsals and sort of witness it and kind of get the messages and get the themes as the actors are learning them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very, very different process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the amazing things about Gather is that it is the first play that's going to be performed in the brand new Richardson Studio Theatre that's just been completed at MTYP. Can you talk about that theatre and what advantages does it give for a show like Gather?
Yeah, it's perfect, actually. Well, first of all, MTYP has just gone through a major capital campaign over the last several years. So we just raised in excess of $9 million to fix the building. And the building has been around for almost 30 years, and so it needed some work. Buildings just they need to be taken care of, and some of the renovations are just basic sort of maintenance, like ceiling and window things, which aren't very sexy. But some of the other things are kind of amazing. For instance, in our main stage now, we used to have a quiet room where kids can go if they want to talk or just don't want to be sort of settled. Now we have a much bigger one that's also accessible for wheelchairs. So something that just wasn't sort of done 30 years ago is now being done. But the main renovation that was done with this money is to what we're calling Richardson Studio Theatre. And that space has always existed. It was just a place where we would rehearse, and some small shows would be done with lesser production values, for instance, maybe at the Fringe. But now we can actually do professional style theater in there. So we have a full lighting grid. We have the capacity to dim the lights. We have seating that's permanent. And it makes a huge difference. And if you come and see the play, you'll see it. What I would say is that a lot of children's theater benefits from being very intimate. And so particularly shows for really young kids. Yeah. And that's what this show is. The show's for ages 5+. It allows, as we're going to talk about later, some interaction. It puts you right into the space. It's that magic thing where there's no wall between you and the actors. And so this play was the play that Pablo Felices Luna chose specifically to open this space because he thought it was about connection and it was a perfect piece to sort of launch the theater. Mm-hmm. Now we still have a main stage too, so we now have 2 theaters.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gather, it's very much a COVID project. It was co-written by Julia Lederer and Julie Ritchey. Instead of COVID, the town members are locked in due to a May snowstorm. Without giving too much away, can you give us a brief synopsis about the play? What is it about?
Well, I'll say, first of all, it was inspired by COVID, but I wouldn't say that it's exactly about COVID. COVID is kind of the metaphor that it jumps off of in the sense of it's about what happens when a community kind of can't come together. And actually it's a snowstorm in May that sets this off in the play, and so which I think is a very sort of relatable thing for many Winnipeg audiences. Yes. We've always felt that those things can happen to us when spring is starting to come, but then it doesn't. The synopsis of the play, it's really about two friends who disconnect because this happens, and the whole town sort of starts to lose its ability to kind of enjoy and savor life and to connect. And so it's really about how do you get that back?
Mm. Can you talk about the two characters Sarah Flynn portrays, and help me out here, Ria Rodich
Resedescu.
Resedescu. Who are 1 and 2 in the play?
Well, I mean, 1 and 2 by the names of the characters imply that not that they're necessarily generic, but that they are meant to be sort of townspeople. They're young girls. They're probably 16, 17 years old. So they're probably in high school, and they're best friends. And it's really about what happens when they disconnect and how it affects their lives negatively and how they need each other and what about each other that really they need. Mm. Yeah, so about their characters, they're not like extremely well drawn out characters. Like that's not sort of the point. They're more allegorical, I would say.
Mm-hmm. In the description of the play, it says, words vanish for a librarian, a chef loses his taste for foods, a mail carrier has nothing to deliver. How is that message communicated on stage with just 2 actors? And I'm presuming this is sort of the comparable to people being locked in and not being able to enjoy their daily jobs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, first of all, I guess I should have said that the main stage of MTYP, which most people have been to, actually has 8 different configurations. So the stage can change. If you went to 5 different shows, you might see it in 5 different configurations. This stage actually also has different configurations. And this one is done in the round. So it's what you think if you say in the round. There's audience on all 4 sides. Mm. So again, that lends itself to a lot of accessibility. You're right there in the action. And in terms of them being locked in, I don't know, is there a sense of claustrophobia? A little bit. The audience kind of surrounds them. And so, as we're going to talk about, there's a lot of interaction. The audience is called upon to come on stage in very limited ways, and you have to agree to it, and play some roles, like the mailman, the chef, some of the townspeople. And so there are several places in the play where the audience gets quite involved and gets to write letters and just do certain acts. It's not at all intimidating. I know a lot of people don't love to go on stage, but in this case, it's pretty friendly and pretty sweet. Mm.
So can you talk about how the audience does influence the play? Like, how does that interaction work?
Absolutely, because the actors really needed to learn actually, okay, I'll give you a bit of a secret. The actors go out into the audience when the audience isn't even in the theater to kind of get to know them a little bit and to sort of feel out, maybe I should ask this child and not this one or whatever. Maybe not this one, but just to kind of pick some kids who they think will probably lend themselves to it, because the kids they don't all have speaking roles, but the kids have to kind of interact and they have to be able to read things and say things. So it's really fun. Like, I really, like we were sort of talking about before, I think it sort of breaks down that 4th wall. It allows children to realize that their reaction to what they're seeing on stage, it becomes part of the play. And I think that's always true. But in this kind of play, it's even more so that the reaction becomes what they do on stage becomes the actual play. Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm. Now, I've seen some really wonderful examples of that. I'll give you a quick example. It was a show called Tetris from the Netherlands, where literally it was like the 4 cast members taught the audience sort of a dance vocabulary, a movement vocabulary. And by the end of the show, all the kids were on stage doing it, and the actors were in the audience watching. I've never seen anything as amazing as that. The audience went wild for that. And this has a little bit of that flavor too, where it's like you're breaking down that sort of wall between like I'm sitting and watching as opposed to I'm part of it. Mm-hmm.
I saw I've seen footage of the play, and one of the things I found really interesting is how the town is depicted. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's basically like when the show opens, it's in 3 parts, kind of in the center of the stage. It's a beautiful, I call it a maquette, but I guess in this case it's not really a maquette. It's a model of the town, and then the town they're on casters, so they can move. So at one point, when the snowstorm happens, the town just kind of moves off the stage, and then the actors move to the center. Yeah, it's really quite beautiful. It's quite beautifully done. And again, it works because, you're literally 10 feet away from the action. And so you feel like you're right in the center of it. Mm-hmm.
One of the things I thought was so fascinating when I was reading about it is that whole idea, the workshopping process. Can you talk about how Julie and Julia workshopped it, in particular their work with children?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this isn't all that uncommon with children's theater. I've heard of this quite a bit before. I think I'm thinking of a very specific play, but I think A lot of times it isn't just about ideas for the play. It's to listen to kids and how they talk, the nuances in terms of how they speak. Obviously, we all know this as we get older, that kids' language changes and that things aren't the same as they were when we were kids. And so I think that was part of it. But they were talking specifically with kids about their experiences during lockdown and what that felt like for them and how it disconnected them and how they found out how to reconnect. Because one of the things this play is about isn't just about what we lose when we disconnect. It's about how do we get back on that horse to reconnect. It's easier for some people than for others. Yeah. And so it's about that. It's about that kind of like impulse to connect and what it means to you and how you might learn in the end that you could always stay connected even if you did need to physically disconnect.
Mm-hmm. There is a lighting manager on stage, and there's also somebody doing some music. Can you talk about how those two add to the play?
Yeah, the lighting guy isn't on stage. There's a stage manager sort of up in up above. Well, as with any play, the lighting and music add things, of course. The music is original music. It's very, very, very sweet. It kind of adds this beautiful sort of soundtrack of just life, of sort of everyday life to my ear. It's not like extremely sort of explosive or really even memorable, but it just has a beautiful sort of quality to it. And the lighting is the same thing. I just actually, the lighting designer's name is Scott Henderson, who's a local designer who's worked with all the major companies. And the work he did here it's really, really lovely because like I said, some of the audience comes on stage, and so he has to light people who he doesn't even know exactly where they're going to stand or what they're going to do. So it's quite clever, and it just adds magic, of course.
Mm-hmm. In the end, Gather, it's a celebration of community and just getting together and the importance of valuing one another. We live in a world where, and I've seen this, a bunch of people get together at a restaurant with the idea being that they're going to have a conversation, and instead, what do they end up doing? Looking at their phones.
Yeah.
Do you think this play has relevance today, even after COVID?
I do. I think the playwrights used COVID as a jumping off point to discuss what you're talking about, which is how our society has become kind of disconnected from each other. And so there's some bigger issues at play here for sure. So I think COVID just reminded us, hopefully, that we do need to stay connected and the value of one-on-one connection, the value of person-to-person, the value of sort of looking at somebody to read what they're saying.
We could have done this interview over Zoom, but it's way better.
It's always better in person.
In studio,
I think if COVID taught me anything, it's how much I don't want to be on Zoom.
Yeah.
Certainly for prolonged periods of time, that's for sure. But so I think it is of particular relevance. I think you're right. I think that so many, I'm noticing that in a lot of schools these days, they're banning cell phones during classes.
Right.
I think that's really interesting. I think we, as a society, haven't completely figured out how to deal with social media and even the internet. We just kind of did it and we forgot, we need to have some rules around this.
Right.
And I think we're starting to realize that. I don't necessarily want there to be draconian rules, but I do feel that it's not as somebody who's older and I've been on Facebook for a while. I have sort of rules with my friends. Like if somebody says something to me that I think is really inappropriate, I just won't talk to them anymore. And I think those rules are not the same for kids. I think kids don't know. It's easier to bully people on social media and get away with it. Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that we need to sort of look at and go, is this actually healthy for people's development and also for their self-esteem? I think the play goes into a lot of this stuff. It's not a heavy play at all, though. It's very light in its own way and really, really joyful and beautiful. Yeah.
Everybody is different. We're all influenced by our own experiences and memories. Do you think the kids that see the play are going to experience it through their own prism and take away something different from the play?
Definitely. I think that's the case with any work of art. We all bring our own experience to the piece, and so we all come away with a different take on it, or what we think we were being told. In terms of what the kids take away from Gather, I think that I'm not sure what your experiences were like. I'll tell you my specific experience. I work obviously in a children's theater, and after COVID, the first group of kids that came in for summer camp, it was like they had never seen another child. Like they didn't know how to behave, how to react, how to interact with each other. It was really, really interesting, actually. And it's definitely changed in the last few years. But I think we had to teach kids how to socialize again. And I think, I've always thought this, that I think a huge part of education is socialization. It's how we interact with each other. It's how we learn to make agreements, to make disagreements that are healthy, all those things. And I think COVID took that away from some kids, and I hope that we're relearning those skills. I think we are.
Yeah, it's not only reading, writing, math, it's just learning how to get along with others.
Exactly. It's learning how to exist in a social environment. Yeah.
Greg, this has been so terrific to have you here today. Gather sounds super engaging and just lovely. Thanks so much for making the time to stop by and talk to me today. It's so wonderful.
You're very welcome. It is a beautiful, beautiful play, and it's on until October 26th, so I hope your viewers and listeners can come and check it out.
For our Classic 107 listener, Gather does run until October the 26th at MTYP. For more details, visit mtyp.ca or go to classic107.com. I have provided a direct link to the show page in the article about Gather that you can find up there now. Greg, thanks again.
Thank you.